Hey, this is Meloriota Lucy, and you're listening to the Rough Concept Podcast. All right, Alli, thank you so much for being here with me. It's been a long time since we last spoke. I'm so happy that you're here on this podcast with me.
Same.
How have you been? How's work? I've seen so many murals you've been able to do over the years, and you've been traveling. And shout out to your husband for being there with you during these murals.
Shout out to the husband. I know. I think a little bit of it is smoke and mirrors of just because we post when we're busy on Instagram, and we post things that we're doing. So everyone just sees all the things that I'm doing, but they never really see today I was in meetings, but then I took an hour nap and it's not busy all the time.
Yeah, they don't see the in-betweens.
Right. So yes, we are busy. And there was at the beginning of this year, I was freaking out. I had probably 2 murals between January and end of March. And I was like, is this the end of Alli K? I don't know. I was freaking
I feel you. That's usually me at the top of the year because January is so much pressure. Right, to show up in a big way, and dish out a whole bunch of projects and a whole bunch of partnerships, and and it's just usually quiet. So I'm like, I should probably get some sleep in, because it's going to turn up second half. But it
truly is. I have to trust the process because I was going back, okay, how many murals did I do last year between this time? Okay, only 5, so I'm only behind 3, and I'm just going, just going through. I'm like, okay, it's fine. But it ended up being I did less murals, but I made 2x of what I did last year. Yeah. So they're bigger projects. So I'm just silly Alli,
Don't you feel that? Okay, so first of all, before we get started, because I know we can get into it.
Oh, we can get into it. We're already into it.
Yes, we are. I just wanted you to take a minute to introduce yourself to the listeners for anyone who's just discovering you for the first time and will fall in love with you after this conversation.
Oh, you're too kind. You're too kind. I am Alli K. I own Alli K Design. I am mostly known for my black and white florals. That's probably because I have now 10 books, which is insane.
That's wild.
My first 2 books, though, kind of put me on the map. They were how to draw floral books. And sometimes I feel weird, saying it, but I really was kind of one of the pioneers of these how to draw floral books. And now there's quite a bit, but I think a modern version, definitely. I was definitely one of the first, which is exciting and proud and a good pat on my back. But anyways, rambling. So most
Tokyo. Okay. You worked hard. Call it what it is. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. So now I have coloring books and how to draw for kids books, which is just, I don't have any kids, but my books are my kids, and just being able to nurture and inspire the next generation. I feel like it is such a privilege, and it is so cool that we're able to do that because I didn't have that example growing up. Granted, my parents were super supportive of anything I want to do. If I wanted to climb Mount Everest, they would give me the best hiking shoes and trainers and all that stuff. Yeah. So if I were to go to them and be I want to be an artist, they would put me in art classes and all these things. But I thought to own a business, you had to be on Shark Tank, or you had to have all this money, or you had to have a storefront. Entrepreneurship just was not what it was today back then. So it is an exciting turn of events of being able to be that example for these younger kids. I just had an email yesterday from this girl, granted one, I'm not quite sure why this 11-year-old already has an email, but she emailed me. It is so
it's different now, for real. Yeah.
Yes. For real. But she emailed me, she's like, I want to know everything. I want to be exactly you when I grow up, murals, books, all of it. I was just like, oh, so sweet. Melts my heart. So, but yeah, I paint murals, on massive sides of buildings to nursery bedrooms.
Yeah.
That's kind of my big bread and butter.
Hey.
They win in my book.
Bread and winter it is. True. Yes. That's what's up.
But that's a little bit about me. I paint with my husband. He recently quit his job at Amazon to kind of, I think he secretly just saw this entrepreneurship life and he's like, this is where it's at. Yeah. And he was like, oh, I'll try to do my own thing. He was trying to get into trading, consulting. And I slowly kind of pulled him to my side.
You convinced him. I'm still,
hey, come paint some murals with me. Yeah.
I'm still working on that.
A lot of therapy had to happen before I'll
note that. We'll try that.
Right. So a couple of years of therapy, we got to where we are now, and now it is literally bliss. I am just loving it so much.
That's cool. And I love to see y'all online. And I was excited to see him working with you.
Yeah.
Yes, y'all. Alli climbs buildings to paint. I think that's the dopest thing
literally
ever.
Climbing Mount Everest, I decided to climb buildings instead.
Exactly. In a way, you kind of did. So there's that. But back to what you were saying, like growing up, I feel like a lot of us were prepared, or they prepared us for like corporate America, right?
Oh, 10,000%. It was
not entrepreneurship, you know?
Yeah. It was go to school, get a degree, graduate, get married, have babies. If you still wanted to work, send the babies to daycare. If not, then the mom stay home with the babies. Like that is just what this roadmap. And it was never my parents saying it. It was me. It was, I guess, society in my head. Like this is what it was. So I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Even when I was younger, I remember my dad saying like, oh, what do you want to get into? Especially when we were in high school. And I was like, I just want to be an artist or a designer. And he was like, all right, so we need to choose something that's going to bring you in money so that you can live. And I was like, all right, well, cool. Cool. I guess corporate retail then. Yeah. So, I feel you. I got into that and I was so not aligned with what I really wanted to do. Like it was so stressful.
I think I kind of had the same way of like, okay, I started off as interior design major because I love design and I love doing all that stuff. And got into the program. And then I had a girl that was designing our closets. I still lived at home during college and she was designing my closet in my parents' house. And she saw my drafting table and she's like, oh my gosh, are you architect? I'm like, no, interior design student. She's like, oh my gosh, I went to this school. It was like the prestigious school that I have always like, I was like, oh, I want to transfer there someday.
Yeah.
And then I like looked, I was like, you are designing closets and you had this degree. I was like, is work that hard to get? Like I freaked out. And then on my husband's side, he is a family of just like engineers, business. And so like we were together since we were 14. And so I grew up with him and his family. And it was kind of always like in the back of my mind of like, oh, you need a business degree. Like, you don't know where cause this was like around 2009 is when, I graduated high school. So it was kind of on the cusp of that, where people lost their jobs and all that stuff. So I was like, okay, I'm going to switch and do a business degree. And then I was like, what's the funnest
thing?
We're just making up words.
What's the funnest career to get into?
Yeah. I was like, all right, I'll just do marketing. So I feel like I never used my degree, but I use the networking that I learned in college definitely now. But yeah, it's weird. I feel like there's just not like great, because even if you do art, it's like art and like studio art, or there's no like degree of like what we're doing now.
Right. Like, I feel like you know what to do. And you know, it's crazy. Like, sky's the limit with art. Like, there's so many paths to take, so many avenues. Right. Like, and sometimes that can be overwhelming when you're trying to figure out what you want to do, like when you want to niche down or not, or, you know, what path to take. So, I mean, I think now, thanks to social media, you know, we can get, you know, the exposure and jobs we want. But when you said that, I was like, yeah. And I graduated from college in 2009. So going into the workforce was
you were in
hell.
It. Yeah.
I was like, I could not find a job to save my life in the field that I wanted to.
Right.
And I was supposed to be on my way to New York. But my heart and my husband kept me here. And then I loved how you mentioned too, like y'all grew up together. And me and Kevin met when we were 18 in college. So we've been knowing each other since then. So like just over time, how y'all's relationship changes and evolves and stuff. It's just so beautiful to see. We talk about that all the time. And we're kind of still 18 sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm Valerie at 36. Don't get me wrong, right? I have different needs and, you know, all of that. But with him, I'm still 18. So I was like, I wonder if you feel that. Like, do you still feel like 14-year-old Alli, you know, 100%. With your husband sometimes?
100%. I mean, probably 14 was a little young, but naive. But like the minute we were able to drive, because we literally started dating with like our parents dropping us off at the mall. Like we couldn't even drive.
Movies.
Yeah. So the minute we turned 16, that relationship blossomed. It was but it's still just being able to have like all those memories and all those like inside jokes and looking back, like we were just talking, like pretty much we've known each other more of like together than we have apart now.
Yeah.
So it's just like, it's just a crazy good feeling. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. I feel the same. That just like, I know this is not like a relationship marriage podcast, but I just have to touch on it because we
can do whatever.
We can talk about whatever we want to talk about. All right. Yeah. So, you know, the Rough Concept podcast is really getting into the creative process in hopes that whoever's on the other end of this while we're having this conversation can feel empowered and, encouraged really to follow through with their creative pursuits and just know that no one's process looks the same. My process doesn't look the same from probably yesterday. So, and sometimes we take different paths and, you know, I just think we need to have more conversation around like how we create our work and what
100%.
You know, the challenges we face. Like, let's talk about it, you know? So so here we are. And
I am so glad that you asked me, and I'm so glad that you are making this, because I am going to be like your number one subscriber, because I feel like I'm in this season so much. Like I've been doing Alli K, I don't even know, since 2014.
Man.
So I don't know what that math is. So for a while.
Yeah.
And I think I'm in this pool of like, I want to do more.
Right.
I'm kind of like in this like hamster wheel of, I know what I'm doing it well. And I know the process and I know the emails to write and the right things to say. And in my murals, I know what to do, but I'm like, okay, I don't want to get bored. And so this has been the year of like taking art classes from other artists and diving deep into their creative process and like what they do and what their studios look like and how do they feel inspired. So I am so excited for this podcast, like so excited.
Perfect timing, right? And I think that's how this all came about. Like I felt the need for us to have these conversations because I was having them with so many different artists and creatives, right?
Yeah.
And I have been going through a journey of transition, I feel like, in really just allowing myself to ride the wave of my creative flow and not
Yes.
feeling like I have to be consistently producing. And that's when I
Yes.
started a creative being. I was like, I'm an artist, but I'm too like a woman, right? And I'm a wife and a mom, and I do all these other things. And instead of like making this feed full of like illustrations, like which I can't keep up with, and I don't want to show every single thing. Like I don't want to feel obligated to do that. Just know that we're still humans behind this, going through our life journeys and our self-development and and really bringing the human into, that space. So yeah, I'm so glad we're having this conversation.
It's needed. And just like, I love that like sentence of like creative flow. Like I need to write that down somewhere and like post it on my wall. Cause it's like, I want to get into that more. I feel like I definitely feel like I love the business side of Alli K Design. And like, I tell people, I'm like, oh, I run a business and just specialize in art. And I'm just like, yes, I am, but I want to flip it. I want to like, I love the business side. It helps kind of like balance my creative, give my creative brain a break. But then I feel like I have been so like making Alli K like business that my like creative flow is not broken because obviously I'm still designing murals and I'm still creating books and things like that. So it's still there, but I feel like it definitely can expand and I think it can grow. And it's just a muscle that you have to work on. And you have to like, I'm working with a personal trainer to work on my muscles and get my shoulder strength. I feel like that is the same with our creativity. Like we have to work on it and we have to strengthen it. Like I just envy all of these. Like I was in a class with all these little old ladies, and some of them have been doing it forever of just like art, and it just like came to them so naturally and like their style. And I'm just like, oh, I want that so much, but I know it's because they've just been practicing. It comes to them, and people probably look up to me and say like, "Oh,
I'm like,
I want that."
In terms of mediums, because I feel like you definitely have a distinct style that I see all over Dallas.
Yes, it is. But I feel like it can get better. Like we can always like. There's definitely that saying like if we stop learning, we stop growing.
Right.
So it's definitely one of those, like, I don't want to get stuck in this lane that I'm comfortable in. I need to grow and expand and learn, keep learning and things like that.
So I just had a thought. And when you said, when we're not learning, we're not growing, right? And I feel like we are ever changing and evolving, growing beings, right? And from that would, bring change in our work, or, you know what I'm saying? We're always doing that. And I feel like when we try to keep ourselves confined, and this is for whoever needs to hear this, like allow yourself to expand, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes you outgrow the space that you've been in, right? And that's okay. But I feel like when we try to maintain or stick to whatever style or medium or idea, that's when the stress, the anxiety, the chaos happens, because we're not fully aligned in like who we are today, because it's different than who we were before. You know what I'm saying? So
100%. Or just like I think it's a lot of also comfort of just like doing what we know, things like that. But you're 100%. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right on it.
Well, let's get into the creative process. As a muralist,
yes.
What does your creative process look like from start to finish?
It's obviously it always depends. We just talked about that. And there was a year, I don't think it was last year, but I think it was 2022, I believe, where I was so busy, like doing multiple murals a week, which I've tried not to do, but it was just I said yes to everything. It was like the first year where Landon had quit his job. So I was like, oh my gosh, Alli K is really kind of only the main income. So I was saying yes to everything, but I was saying yes. And then like realizing like, Alli, hello, you have to design all these murals. Like, and I don't like to design after I paint. Like once I'm done painting, I come home, I am done for the day. Like I don't get on my computer, nothing. Cause it's just so exhausting.
Right.
So I was just like, just banging out designs. And I was just like, some of them I love, some of them I could tell that I was rushing through it. I was like, I do not want this feeling ever again. And so I've made sure that I've made buffers in my calendar to where I'm like, okay, now I don't paint on Mondays and Fridays. Those are, I for sure buffer days. Those are days that I know that like if all fails and I do say yes to everything, which is, there's a good season for that.
Yeah.
But I know I have Mondays and Fridays to be able to design. So I'm typically designing on a Monday or Friday, or I'll do like, if I have big murals, I'll make sure that I have a week, or I try to make sure I have a week in between. So like this week I'm designing murals and things like that. So, and it's always funny that they all like kind of clump together, and I'm like designing all the same murals all the time, even though like I'll have like, I'm designing one for like in July, but I'm designing one for that I just did last week. So it's just, it's crazy. So like trying to like, when I'm designing them all at the same time, trying to make them look different for each, like I can like pinpoint like, okay, I designed, even though they're painted in different months, I know I'm like, oh, I designed those in the same week. Cause they have different, like similar styles, but different, similar elements. So I cannot just like get up, go on my computer, do my emails, and then go straight to mural designing. Like I need to get out of the house, go on a walk, or walks have now kind of been like my routine. So I need to do something outside of my routine. So that's going to Target on a random Monday or Tuesday, or going and getting lunch with a friend, or going out and just like getting breakfast with my parents, like something that is just so out of the norm that my brain then kind of like is out of autopilot. And I was like, oh, what is it doing?
I love that.
We're doing something new.
Yeah.
Okay. We're seeing something new. And then I come back and get on my iPad and then just kind of start designing. And if I get stuck, then I'll sometimes browse, like photos in my phone. I love doing, I save a ton of, obviously I do a lot of floral. So if I see a floral, I'm taking like a million like your kids,
every angle.
Yeah. You probably have a million photos of your kids. I have a million photos of florals from every angle.
Yeah.
Yes. So it's just like, so I love like using my own photos for reference photos and things like that. But then I also like to like look at things that are different. Like, so I'm painting a mural, but I love to look at like collage art or tattoo designs, or something that's just like not another mural.
Got you.
Or not another, like, yes, tattoo designs are illustrated, but they're on a different medium, or they have different depths and things like that. So something that's like what I'm doing, but not what I'm doing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
As like, for instance, like if I get really stuck and I'm like, I'm running out of ideas, finding inspiration, like that photography, things like that.
Yeah, I'm obsessed with photography.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. I love how you started with going for a walk, doing something outside of your routine to get your mind out of autopilot.
I have to. If I have design on my calendar, I'm like, all right, this is a day that I'm not doing my typical routine. I'll probably do it a little bit in the morning, but then I'm like, okay, I'm getting out and I'm going to come back.
Yeah.
It's just because I feel like it resets me, because you work from home, you live at home. Like I'm at home, I have a studio at home. So when I'm always surrounded, sometimes I'm just not inspired by these walls that I look at, that I need to get out and then come back. type of thing.
I feel that. I mean, simply doing like, whenever you do like client work, whenever it's kind of like autopilot, you start with, the inquiry, you get on the call, you do the mood board, you go through the color palette, you do all that.
Sometimes you go on I need to figure out how to not eliminate it, because I do think that it is important sometimes, but we've moved to the suburbs now, and a lot of my murals are in Dallas, but that's like a good 45 minutes to an hour. And they're like, oh, come look at the wall. And I'm like, can you just send me a photo?
Yeah.
And they're like, we want you to see the space. So it's like, I'm driving 45 minutes to be there for 10 minutes. I'm like, to drive 45 minutes back. I'm just like, oh my gosh. But sometimes it's worth it. And sometimes I'm just like, I can't do this.
Yeah, to give anyone, if you need context for this conversation, Dallas-Fort Worth is like, you have your inner cities and then you have your suburbs.
Yes.
And sometimes you drive far to get to Dallas.
Sometimes. It's not a hard drive. I mean, it's just not straight down the toll, but it's still like when you're in the car more than like a meeting that's I'm just like, your time is valuable, people.
Yeah. And what I realized too, time is more valuable to me than money sometimes. Like, and that's just in life. Like, if it's a friend and I were just talking earlier about traveling 30 minutes to and from a location. Like me driving from where I am to Dallas is about 40 minutes, and it could be an hour in traffic. That's like an hour plus driving in the car. So I 100%.
Oh no, I made sure that meeting was dead in the middle of the day, so I did not have to worry about traffic. You have your
time frame, right? Like I need to be getting home at this time. I do not want to be bothered with people getting off from work because they are on another type of time. Like they are trying to get home, or they are burnt out and they're going hella slow. So it's one of the others, no in between, around like 4 or 5 o'clock.
Truly.
But I love that, just kind of getting yourself mentally prepared. What would you say though is your favorite part of creating a mural?
So I feel like the creative process really does start from like, either the client has certain needs, and they're like, okay, we want this, this, and this, or they're just like, design whatever. Sometimes that's like gold to artists. For me, that is not. I do not like that. I like a little bit of boundaries, or I like the creative process of like bouncing ideas off of each other. I'm fueled by conversations. And so I need to have these like collaborative, creative conversations. So it starts there, then you design, then you get to the wall. And that's a whole other process in itself. Like once you get to the wall, sometimes, like for example, my LA murals, I'm in Dallas. Those were in LA. I have never seen these walls in person before. I saw one photo. They were under construction. So I never got like a sense of just massivity, if that's even a word. Like if they were just so truly big. And of course they like tell you the estimated sizing, and you're like, okay, 40 feet. And I'm just like, oh yeah, 40 feet. Like, yeah, that's easy. And then you go and I'm like, oh my gosh, 40 feet is so long. Like almost half of a football field. Like insane. So it's my favorite, absolutely favorite part of the creative process is the problem solving. And it can be from the very beginning to where you're problem solving their needs and they're like, I want this, 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 and this. But then you have to still kind of bring in your style because that's what they're hiring you for. So it's like, how do I combine all of this into a mural? And that's like one problem solving. So I do enjoy that most of the time when I can have like a super clear head. But then I absolutely like crave the problem solving. And once I get to to the wall. Sometimes it stresses my husband out. Like, I do not show him the mural design before whatsoever. Like, because he will be like, how do I paint this? And how tall is that? And what ladders are we going to use? And are you sure? Like, one of my favorite moments is that we were walking up to this lady's house and we rang the doorbell and I turned to him. I'm like, oh, hey, just to let you know, you're painting the ceiling today. And he's like,
you got to tell him when it's about to go down. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You can't.
Because he's going to
he'll like,
yes. Because then he didn't have time to over process this. He just got up and started painting the ceiling. So, but for me, I love it. Here's a problem. What do? I'm like, most of the time I'm already like 2 steps ahead. Like, I will sit in my bed and be like, okay, if I have this problem, how am I going to solve this? This is what I'm going to do. Like, before even the mural gets there, or before even these problems pop up, I will still do them in my head in scenarios. So that's probably my favorite part of the problem solving process and the creative process. And that it's definitely, because you have to get creative. Like, there's sometimes where like our ladders can't reach and we can't get a lift. So I'm like, okay, well, what can we do? Or what can we stand up on? Or can we make this design to where it flows differently? Or there's some moments where like the wall texture isn't working with our paint, and either the paint is cracking or like the tape peels off the paint. So I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, I guess we're gonna have to do X, Y, and Z or something. I don't know. If there is a mural that just goes smoothly, I'm like, oh, that was boring.
Yeah. So, and you know what's funny is, as you're talking about it, like, I do remember you posting about this, like maybe it was last year or the year before. And you couldn't get to a particular height to get, that building. I think it was a wall or building, but I think it was outdoors. And y'all ended up getting one of those like construction, like,
lifts.
The lifts, and you were like, we figured it out. And I was like, this makes perfect sense as I'm like watching you talk about it. I'm like, that makes way more sense now that you're talking about it, because I remember seeing you post about it. So that's really cool. That's really cool.
It's a lot of fun, because then you're just like more proud of like, you not only, it is amazing to be able to take something this small and this is a podcast, something that's like an 8.5 by 11 and putting it on a 20 by 40 foot, like that's amazing. But then if you're adding in those extra depths of layers of like, I was able to accomplish this, but I solved X, Y, Z on top of that. Most people probably won't know, but like deep down in myself, I'm like, I'm even more proud. Cause sometimes I like look at this mural and I'm like, yeah, it's flowers. Everyone can do that. I know that's not the case.
I know,
But sometimes I look at that and I'm like, yeah, someone else can do it. But could they have figured this out and done this out? So it's just like gives me that extra satisfaction of I'm doing a good job.
Because we're providing, like, even with our art, right? We're being creative, but we are still solving a problem. We're still providing a service. So I feel that whenever I do get creative control over things, I'm like, yeah, that's what's up, and they're like, oh, we love it, it's done. And I'm like,
it's also 100%. I think it's also like the Enneagram 2 in me, probably. I like, even like, I know we've had multiple conversations in the past of like, Alli, I need help, help me with it. Like, even just like problem solving on like the business level, or like, my friend was like asking me, like, she's getting a new job and she's like, needs to know, like, is this a good salary? Like, I don't know. Like, we like problem solved all of this. And like, they're like, thank you so much. I'm like, never like thank me. Like, this is like what I live for. This is I'm like, and it's such an honor that they're asking me. They're like, hey, I have this mural design. Can you look at this? Like, it's just something just like doesn't feel off. And I just immediately like problem solving mode. I'm like, yes, do this, do that, do this. You're going to do great. I love it. And it's so much fun.
And I do remember like doing a project, and it was a little rocky start, right? And I felt so confined, and I was like, you know what? Let me make this work. Let me work some magic. Like, yeah, they're hiring me because they love my work, but they are also hiring me because, they want me to solve a problem for their brand.
Right. We're the professionals. We're able to come up with these.
Early on, it was really, kind of juggling both, wanting to be creatively free and still, working with people and making sure that you're providing, what it is that they need, even too, with them loving your work. That is important. And it does feel so good when they're like, yes, we love this. And the enthusiasm and like the satisfaction you hear in their voices. So 100% agree. I imagine too, like on this journey with you being more niched and focused on murals, are there any other things that, you really want to get into outside of that?
Oh, girl. We talk about this all day.
Right?
Like I'm telling you,
I already know.
I'm in this season. I don't know. It's just this year, something is like tugging on my brain, my creative wheels of just like, go do this, go this way. But I have never. So when I started Alli K, I started off creating canvases, art pieces that are framed, and I gave those to my friends and family for gifts. Then they were like, oh, you make this. I have a birthday. Can you make this canvas? So like I started off like small, doing super custom work that way. And then I was like, okay, I need to prove to, because at the beginning, Lena was like, oh, this is a hobby. And looking back at it, it looked like a hobby.
Right.
And again, like I didn't have the example. He never had the example.
Yeah,
like
I was just about to say that. I was like, we never saw that before. So it was kind of like new to all of us.
Yeah. He was like, 401k. You can't have a 401k paying canvases. Like,
what's your insurance?
Right. So I was like, I need to prove this man wrong. And so I definitely did that.
Same. It feels so good, right?
It's just so good.
I was like, one year I brought in 6 figures. I was like, how does that feel for a financial analyst?
Yes.
It feels so good.
So good. Yeah. I love it. But yeah, so started off with canvases, needed to prove them wrong, went into the wedding industry, was one of the top wedding calligraphers in DFW, which was a great accomplishment. But that's how I started in murals. Is I got my first studio, painted a mural at that studio, posted on Instagram. Another realtor was like, oh, I have a building I'm trying to sell. Would you paint a mural on it? I'm like, yeah, I can definitely do that. I painted my first mural with a Sharpie. Like,
oh my God. Oh, yeah. Not, you know what? I feel like you shared that one time. Good. Yeah. Yes. I feel like you shared that one time.
He's like, you can paint murals. I'm like, yeah, I got you. I paint murals.
I'm beginning.
Yes.
I feel you.
That mural is still up and it is still thriving and it is still doing good. So not my very first one, but my first paid one is still going strong. But I realized that I could make at the time just as much doing wedding invitations, and I could do them by myself. I didn't have to really talk to anyone while I was painting. I was like, this is great. I love this. Right. I don't have to talk to bridezillas or their moms or calligraphy. I was killing my arm doing calligraphy. Like, I don't know how these girls do it these days. Like,
I don't know how people, I love the wedding industry. That's where I started too, whenever I started my business. But baby, I said, ooh. And I know how particular I was when I was getting married and, you know, how I wanted things to look and all of that. I was like, I do not want to. No, I'm done.
No.
No. I feel you.
I was like, hold on, I can make more money doing this. I'm doing this. Right. So I retired from the wedding industry, did murals. I kind of forgot where I was going with this.
My bad.
Oh, no, going back to, so I started canvases. That's how I kind of started.
Okay.
So I am longing to get back into canvases. I have not painted in canvas in years. I painted my first one a couple weeks ago at I call it art camp because I went somewhere and did art campy things.
That's fun.
But it was just a workshop with this lady. It was a 3-day workshop. I loved it. So I was like, okay, this is awesome. But I am struggling with everything that I create has been a custom request. Like, we need a mural. Can you paint this?
Right.
There's been a couple murals where I could just kind of do whatever. I have one of those that's coming up in September, and I am super excited for. But I feel rusty in the game of just to create. And my dad has always instilled in this of like, just create for yourself. And I definitely feel that, like, any product that you see on my website, it is because I created it for myself.
Right.
I needed beach towels. I created some beach towels and then I sold it. So I know that that's like the mentality that I need to go into just kind of creating these canvases. But like, my goal is like, hopefully beginning of next year, like to have my first solo art show and like getting
That's
into
nice. Yeah.
those things. So it's like, yes, I need to create for myself, but like, it's always kind of in the back of my mind of like, ideally the goal is to have people buy these art canvases. So it's like, yes, I'm creating for myself, but then it's like, I also need to create for this art show. Like, I have this whole art show planned. I know what it's called. I know what every piece is going to be named. Like, I have it. And that's my thing. That's probably my Achilles heel and my biggest weakness is that I am the type of person, again, problem solving. I problem solve every aspect. I was just about to mention that.
The problem solving aspect.
Yes, because I love it.
Yeah.
But then it's just like, I just need to do it. Like, I'm like, oh, I need a studio. Do I have a studio at home or do I go get a studio? There was like 2 weeks where I'm like looking for studios and like, I was like, I think I'm going to put a deposit on this. And I'm like, no, this is silly, Alli. You don't like to drive that much. Or I'm a creative owl. And so sometimes like the creative spark just like happens at midnight. And so like, you should just, once that creative spark hits, go do it. Like, so I'm like, no, I need it to be at my home. So I'm like in the process of rearranging my office and studio and like getting all the things that I need for a studio, getting all the supplies and the paint, even though I have, like, I could sit down and crank out a canvas today if I wanted to. I have all the stuff, but I'm like, oh, I need this stuff. Oh, I need this.
Yeah.
Oh, if I need this. Yeah. I need this cart. I need this rug. I'm just like, I'm worst at getting all the things, and then now I just need to like
do the thing.
Do it.
Yeah.
Do the thing.
Yeah. I feel that. I think that you going about like nurturing your creativity with art camps and art
but that's
classes.
I think it's another thing of like prepping. I'm like, oh, I'm a little rusty. Let me take these classes so I can get back in this groove of painting on canvases and learning and things like that. And I love the learning process, but again, it's the problem solving of like, oh, I need to be doing this first in order to start. And I just need to take my own advice because there are so many people out there that are in the same boat.
Right.
And that are early on in their careers, and you just have got to start. Like, I am procrastinating so hard, and there was like some quote that I saw that I saved, and it was like, I'll need to find it. I'll find it. But I'm just like, it hit hard. I was like, that's me. Like, I tell people all the time, like, just do it. You're not going to fail. Yeah. And that's it. I'm not going to fail. If I don't like this canvas, I can paint over a canvas.
Yes.
Like, it is so easy.
You can start over. Yeah.
You can start over. Yeah. Or there's other canvases to be bought. Like, and that's like, I was definitely one of those girls growing up, and I still am, that like, if I get stickers, I don't use the stickers because I'm just like, I have this like what is worthy of the sticker? And that sticker is going to be on there forever because like, you can't take that sticker off. Yeah. So it's like finding this product that is worthy of the sticker. So then I just never use a sticker.
Right. I feel you.
So, I mean, we can go deep. This is like therapy session 101.
I mean, let's get to it. I mean, that's exactly what this is. Like hearing you like pretty much like navigate your thoughts with this is like,
oh, I'm navigating
top shelf right now.
Like, Yeah, I'm navigating.
I think. What is it?
So one of them was like signs that you are using the apprentice phase as an excuse to stay safe. This is me. I was like, all right, I'm ready. I saw this. I'm like, okay, bring it.
Yeah.
I swipe to the next one. You are spending more time researching rather than creating.
Oh my
Ding,
God.
ding. That's me. That's me.
You
That's
know what's
me.
funny? Are there other ones? Yeah. Tell me.
You believe that you can't start the project until you're at a certain level of skill. Me.
Ooh. What page is this? Is this
okay? This is a new Inspired to Write.
I follow her, and she just writes it on the sketch paper.
Good.
I knew I saw that. Because when I saw it, I was like,
she digs deep.
Yeah,
she digs deep.
Yeah.
You believe you don't have anything to give because you're early on your journey, which is, yes, true. Granted, I've been doing art for a while, but I have not been doing art on canvases for very long. Like, this is so new. Like, it's almost like I'm not like starting a new business, but I'm definitely starting a new aspect of my business. Like, Alli K has never done fine art ever. So it's definitely new.
Right.
You love to read craft books and enrolled in courses, but rarely actually create. I like melt in my chair. Like, she
this
just
post, like every time I see a post from her page, I'm like, yeah. Do you believe though?
The last one, yeah. When people ask about your art, you brush it off and protect yourself, saying like, "Oh, just messing around." Which I literally, like, the first time I'm like, post this, I'm just like, "Oh, just like messing around in my art studio, not really knowing what I'm doing."
Like, I'm really trying to, try something new.
Right. Or not like, hey, come to my art show.
Yeah.
What year are we? 2013, 2014. So, yeah.
Yeah. So you said that it's been a while since you've worked on Canvas. And I asked this question because whenever I started creating again after undergrad, when I graduated in 2009, like I said earlier, it was really hard to get started in, my career, right? And I put my adulting hat on, figured that out, got married, had kids. And after I had Emmy, that's when I started to create again. And I was like, damn, I'm about to be extra rusty. And what I realized is that part of me never left. Like, it was still there. It was like you said earlier, like working out, like you got to work that muscle.
Yes.
But it quickly became like muscle memory. And I had the same style I did when I was in college. And it had been like since 2009. And I started to sketch and stuff again in 2015. Do you believe though, and going back, I feel like we go in this circle, right? Or this, we go back to the space where we started sometimes, especially when we want to try new things or we want to try a new medium. And it's just as scary to us now, even into our careers, right? As it was when we first started. It's kind of like Alli in 2014, you're like, dang, like, there's this new thing. I don't want to suck at it. I want to be an expert, or I don't want to look like, I don't want it to look bad. Okay. And especially in this space. But do you believe though, once you start, that you would just start to pick back up eventually where you left off?
I hope so. We should probably have a follow-up podcast once I do a couple of canvases, because I have it in my calendar, like create a canvas.
Right.
Like, I'm doing that. And so I think so.
Yeah.
I think 100%. And
I do too.
It's scary because it's like, I want to have a different style for my fine art that is different than my murals.
Got you. And I was going to ask you that too.
Yeah. So that is, I want it to be a little bit more grungy and just, again, like, I want people to see my creative flow.
Right.
I love that, like, phrase that you have it. I'm going to have that as my mantra of just like, it's flowing, and the texture, like when I look at fine art, it's just like, so there's so much texture and layers and all of this stuff. When I paint murals, it's clean and crisp and it's one layer. So it's very, very different. So I want it to feel different, but still me. Like I want people to be like, oh, that's Alli K's work. But definitely have its different kind of, this is Alli K fine art, this is Alli K murals. So
I like that. And you will it's going to unfold beautifully. And going back to like creative flow, like you just got to let it all take its course. I had a conversation recently with someone with just allowing our creative process to take its course, you know, and even like to go back to what you said, I'm going to make all these paintings, but I want somebody to buy them at the end of the day, right?
Right.
But what if you put yourself in the mindset of like, whether or not anyone buys this, whether it's like a masterpiece or it's, to me, a piece of crap, I'm going to finish this, right? You know what I'm saying?
Yes, I have
giving
to finish
yourself the freedom to just start. You know what I'm saying?
If I love it, I will hang it up in my own house. My parents love everything I create. Even if I just smear just dirt on it, they're like, Picasso.
Right.
So I can hang it in their heart, in their house. So if anything, I know it'll go somewhere, either those two places.
Yep. Just let it flow. Like, I think.
Yeah. If anything, it's I'm definitely taking this season as a learning season. Like I say, if you're not learning, you're not growing. So and that's investing in yourself. And I'm going to spend all this money, but I'm investing in myself for my future. Like I know I can't be painting murals when I'm 6 years old. And I know that canvases and fine art is such an easy route to transition into. So I'm just starting young. Like people have 401ks and I have canvas art that I am investing in.
You know what? And that's just as like legit. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's dope. And I look at it too as buildings and walls being your canvas. Like that's been your canvas. And this is just a new surface.
It is.
You know what I'm saying? So I think that's,
I don't know why I love a wall though. I love a wall. I'm not intimidated of a wall, but a canvas. I'm just looking at them right now. I have like at least 20 canvases. They are blank and I am so intimidated by them. And I'm just like, I just think, because I love watching other people's process of how they start a canvas, and they literally like, they just do like this. They're just like,
or they'll just like, and then and you start with just like the line drawings, and then you like build up and you add your shadow, your definition and everything. And I'm just like,
truly. So like, that's like my, like, I am going to start and I'm just going to scribble.
Yep.
Maybe even just close my eyes and just, that's one of my favorite things. Like if I'm
going to close
really
her eyes and she's going to make masterpieces.
Yes. If I'm really in a rut, I love doing like contour line work of just like get my hand moving.
Yeah.
And sometimes I just like love to not look at it. And then, or I don't pick up my pencil. Like I just love doing those things. Again, problem solving. It's like, I love to just, I take that, look at it, I'm like, okay, that's weird, or ooh, I love that. How can I make that into something
beautiful? Yep, I love that. And back to like problem solving being your favorite. How does problem solving affect your overall process in terms of your creativity?
I think that it affects my overall process in a sense of it's giving me something to not necessarily focus on, because I'm not like looking at like it as a problem. But I'm looking at it as something to solve, if that makes sense. Versus like sometimes it can get like, I look at these blank canvases and like, okay, this is a problem I need to solve. Or I'm looking at this like blank wall and like, okay, this is again, like I'm trying to solve, like taking this from a white wall to something that people are going to want to interact with, or the client is going to love. It is less intimidating for me to look at it in that sense of like, create.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what it is about, like, yes, I'm creating, but it's like, there's something that people, I think that's why that they hold themselves back of like, oh, I'm not good enough, or, oh, I don't have X, Y, and Z. Again, I'm needing to I tell myself this weekly now because I'm in this phase.
Right.
But I now am like, I'm actually kind of glad that I'm going through this, because now I'm like really resonating with all these people that are trying to start their own businesses, and like what they're feeling. And I'm like, oh gosh, I'm feeling this so hard right now. But I just really need to trust the process, and I need to trust myself, and I need to trust my creativity. Like, like you said, like it's in there, and that we have this gift, and I just need to trust this gift that we have been given to do its thing. Like, instead of doubting it, I need to trust it. Right. I need to, it's like, you know, that movie Inside Out, and it's like the feelings.
Yeah.
I like, the minute I just said, I need to trust my creativity, I like this little object pop in my mind of like, just this little like creativity, like little person inside my mind. And it's just sitting there like, I can do that.
Yeah.
But then my doubt comes in, is like, stop it, creativity.
Yeah. She wants to take control. Like she wants to, what was it, like a ball or a handle, or she wanted to
something like
be in charge of the whole dashboard or whatever. Your creative self is like, self-doubt, I need you to step away so we can make this happen.
Right.
Yeah. I feel that. Like the rough sketch is my favorite. I think it's the most pure stage. And it's when I can get messy. And I take this vision and I put it on paper, and it's going to be like a hot mess probably, but it's a beautiful hot mess to me.
It is.
And from there it builds, but it's like the blueprint. It's
it's like the vomit of all of your ideas just needs to like vomit out. It just like, it's in your head. Now it needs to get on paper. Cause I definitely do that too. And I forget that is a big part of my creative process, I guess, because I'm glad that you mentioned it. Cause yes, every single mural starts with bubbles. Just like, and I feel like I'm pretty good. Maybe that's why I don't think of it as like my creative process, because it's just so natural to me. I feel like that's probably one of my biggest strengths is composition.
And that's a part of your problem solving process too, because you have to make it work for that space, for the space that you're giving it.
And balancing it out and things like that. Yeah, I have a friend that is a florist, and she asks me from time to time to come do florals. And I'm like, I don't do, like, I paint florals. And she's like, no, Alli, you are so good at composition. Like that's all florals are, is just the composition work. And like, that's what you do. And
that's like, really cool.
And it's so like, every time she asks me, I always say yes. Because that's another way of being like inspired and like getting out of a creative rut, is like doing something it's similar to what you're having to do. Like we're having to, like, you're putting together compositions. And so if it's not a composition of a mural, then it's a composition of a floral, and like being able to like, it's really, I love it, but it's also really hard because I'm like in love with it. So I'm like a million photos. Right. I'm like, oh my gosh. Everything.
I made an arrangement. This is happening. You'll be there until like the building until they close. Like you gotta go. Take your photos and go.
Truly. But yes, I love that that's your favorite part, because it's a great just like start.
Yeah.
Like you just gotta start.
Because that takes courage, right? Like from this vision, like, and sometimes I get intimidated by the things that I want to draw. And I'm like, damn, I can't draw that. And I'm obsessed with like the human form, especially women, especially curvy women. And
you're so good at it too.
Thank you. Because I am really over here. Like now it went from curvy to very straight, like defined lines. I don't know. It feels so good to my soul. Like when I do it, it's just like, I get better. But sometimes I'm like, because I'm learning to not always draw from reference, but from up here. And it gets difficult. You know what I'm saying? Because especially when I'm still trying to learn the ins and outs and how the muscles work and all that. That gets really overwhelming, by the way.
Right.
But to start it and to see it come to life, like you're just throwing some lines on there and it's forming this idea that you really want to see, you know, come together. That is so fulfilling to me, just as problem solving is for you. And that is a part of your rough sketch. Like, all right, I have this space and I'm going to put beautiful things that fit perfectly, like in terms of composition and size and, you know, the angle of the petals and all the things. Like, I'm going to make that work. So I feel that 100%. I love it. Love that. But
this is so fun.
I know. I really want to see how this journey goes for you. I feel like so many of us are like, even with this podcast, I know this is a different medium. I feel like I'm just looking at it in that sense. Like I painted this wall whenever I was like, oh, I'm going through a creative rut. And one of my friends commented, she said, no, you are not. You are just using a new medium.
Yes.
Your body and your mind or your spirit wants to create in a different way. And this is like,
this is it.
This is it. I feel like with the podcast, it was so new to me. And I was like, oh, you know, I'm gonna get on here and do the podcast.
I'm just messing around.
Yeah, just messing around.
No. It's like, another creative process.
Yeah. And it definitely started with a soul search. And I was telling my husband, I said, I was not ready for this, but what it's like, from how it started to how it is now, it started off as a great idea. Now I'm like, this is fire. Like, this is going to be so good. And I feel like so many of us need it. So, like, I'm just grateful for it. And I think that while you go through this journey, you need to document it. You need to write about it. Write about like the moments where you're like, oh, I know I'm looking at these canvases right now and I do not want to pull back that plastic.
Right.
And why? You know what I'm saying? Like, get to the root of it. Because that's what I've been, look, I want everybody to get to the root and unpack the things, right? Because I'm unpacking the things. But it really took me back to when I was younger, like, in starting something new. When I started doing calligraphy, starting something new. When I started doing portraits, starting something new. So I feel like it's just, you know, a journey that you consistently go on as a creative, because we're going to want to try new things and we're going to want to, you know, continue to learn, which is already the sauce. But as we endure it, I feel like we do get hung up on like, what is it going to look like? I don't want to look like a beginner, although I am a beginner, right?
Yeah. I think it is refreshing for all these people that are looking up to us, that they see us in the business for a while. They're starting out new, and I'm right there with them.
Right.
I have all of these fears and thoughts the same.
Right.
Hopefully that doesn't intimidate them, that like, oh my gosh, are these ever going to go away? Yes, they go away, but they can come back.
Yeah, they come back later. But I think,
but we're not, it's not normal to have those fears and doubts. It's just human. And I think that's part of the creative process in itself, of thinking through all of this and tackling up fear and letting our little creative being do what it's meant to do. So,
right. And it's really just, I feel like creativity it parallels so much too with like self-growth and development. Us getting to know ourselves all over again, what we like. And, you know, we have our insecurities and fears and like, you know, all the things, right? But really tapping into those and where they're stemmed from. It's just the whole situation. So, I'm excited for you again, like with your creative process.
For you. I cannot wait for this to come out. I'm excited.
So what would you tell Alli in 2014 if you could speak life into yourself where you were? And even too, like when you think about it right now, right?
Yeah. What am I telling myself right now?
Right. What would you tell her, anyone who's just starting this journey, right, for the first time, really just taking that leap of faith, or like, you know, being brave with their work and sharing it and starting their business and their journey, what would you tell that person as they begin this journey?
So what I'm telling myself, because I am starting something new, is that like, I cannot fail. Like, there's no failing. There's no messing up. It's learning. It's like, I needed to like tell myself, like, I'm investing in myself. That's the same. Like, I just had a conversation with my dad. He's like, oh, I think I need to like take a mental break. I'm like, yeah, you do. You need to invest in your mind, like invest in that time. And it's the same of like creating, like you need to invest in that time of creativity. But I think, yeah, just telling her younger self, like my younger self, like there's no failing. You're not going to fail. Trust the process. There are like what is for you will find you. I'm a true believer in that. And if you believe, but you have to believe in, you have to speak good vibes, put it out there. Like I'm trying to put this out there as much as possible. Like, I am going to have an art show. It's not just going to be something I'm just like, oh, just messing around. Like, this is a big goal of mine I've had for years, and I just kind of put it on the back burner. And so I feel like if I tell myself more and more of like, this is what I want, this is what I want, putting it out there, don't keep it inside. Oh, there's just so many things.
Yeah.
Like,
but that's many things. That's really good. Like, we don't fail. We just learn. Over and over again, right?
Yes. And like I said, that canvas can be painted over.
Yeah. Like, throw that white paint on there and start again. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I love that. Love. Well, we can talk all night. But I know you want to go take a walk and the sun is setting. Are you still going to take your walk?
I'm still going to take my walk.
Good. Good. So, where can everyone find you?
Super easy. It's just Alli K Design, Alli K Design on Instagram, website. I don't do TikTok. That's not for me.
I feel you. Yeah. I'm addicted, but that's a whole nother conversation.
Can't do it.
Well, again, I appreciate you being here with me. I just told the last person I talked to, I was like, it's way better when I can bring people on that I know and love and admire on this journey with me to have these conversations. Because I mean, hello, community. So
all the time. Ask me back anytime. I am here for it.
Yeah, we're gonna need a part 2 because I need to know how this works out.
I know,
for real.
Right?
I need you to follow through and let it flow.
Yes. How did my creative flow go? Yes, we will.
Yeah, we need that. So thank you so much for being here, Alli. And
thank you.
We will follow up and talk soon. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope that today's discussion sparked your creativity and inspired you to embrace your unique journey. Don't forget to share your thoughts, stories, and creations with me. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on any future episodes. Leave a review, and let's continue to support and inspire one another on this incredible journey. Until next time, keep creating.